What's up, everyone? This is the Tough Runs Don't Last podcast coming at you Sunday, per the usual when we do this thing anyway. I'm Graham Powell on this screen, and also on this screen, Michelle Zingula. Say what's poppin', Michelle.
What's poppin', Michelle?
I have a couple things to talk about here and there. Maybe Michelle does too. I don't know. But before we get going, let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor. The Tough Runs Don't Last podcast is presented by Rhino Races. Rhino Races is a virtual race series that offers 5 different races: a 5K, 10K, half marathon, a marathon, and the one of a kind Rhino Ultra. You can sign up for one or all 5 of their races at rhinoraces.com. Run your race at your convenience. Track it with your fitness app of choice. Screenshot your results as proof of completion. Submit that screenshot to rhinoraces.com. Under the submit results section, once your results are verified by Rhino Races staff, your award will be shipped to you by mail. Also, check out their gear section while you're there for t-shirts, wristbands, decals, and more. That's rhinoraces.com. Rhino Races is the premier virtual running series, and you can find us, the Tough Runs Don't Last podcast, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on X at TR Don't Last. Woo indeed. So I am taking the day to mostly chill out and relax. I had a very tough race yesterday. I knew exactly what I was getting into. I had the Scorchin Squirrel trail run in the Ferncliff area in Little Rock. It is very much a trail run. My brother and I did it a year ago. I'll explain how it works in a minute, but it was the hardest race I've ever done. And my brother and I in unison said after, we're not doing that again. And then several months ago, I decided I was going to do that again. Now, they have 4 different options for this race. You can do anywhere between 1 to 4 loops, and you can decide when you're out there. You don't have to sign up during the register, or you don't have to pick during the registration process. You can register and have something in mind and then go out there and say, you know what, you can do 1 to 4 loops. Did I say that already? Okay. Well, just to reiterate, you can do 1 to 4 loops. One loop is it's a little over 7 miles. And if you do 2, it's 11-ish, 3, 15-ish, and then 20 or 4 loops is just over 20 miles. And I did it last year. I did it this year. I did 4 loops each time. And it was very tough last year. I was reminded yesterday that I was not exaggerating. It was still very tough. Now, I was 3 minutes faster this year than I was last year. My brother and I came in at 5:28:10. So 5 hours, 28 minutes, 10 seconds out. And this year I was just over 5 hours and 25 minutes. And I think last year we walked through the finish line because it's uphill, and we were just kind of dead at that point anyway. Our legs were. Same situation this year. I was really just trying to keep everything in my stomach at that point. And so I just made the nice little trek uphill through the finish line, and then went straight to the pool area. Didn't get in the pool because you need to shower, clean up before you get in the pool. And I'm covered in mud and dirt and stuff from the knees down, especially. So I just fully clothed. I did the same thing last year. They have a standing shower area right by the pool. And at first, because it's hot, at first it shoots out pretty hot water, but then it just gets ice cold. And I stood under that for several minutes the first time I did it. And then I kept going back to do so. I did it 4 different times, just went right under the shower. I'd start to get hot and queasy, and then I would just go back under the shower and just stay there for a little bit. But it's a very well done race. It's well organized. There are plenty of aid stations, plenty of helpful volunteers at the start, finish, and throughout the course. And there's one spot in particular when you go down I can't remember the name of it. My friend Brad knows. You go through, it's the clear area in trees and stuff where there's power lines.
Yeah, I can't think of what it's called.
I can't either. but you run down that, and you really can't help but run down it. You can try to, the last two loops, I tried to kind of ease my way down, and then I realized it was a lot easier to just not fight the gravity and then just go with it. So I ran down it every time. I almost turned an ankle the third loop, I think. Fortunately, I did not, because that would have been rough to try to do another loop with that, or just even finish that loop with that. But as soon as you get down that, you get to go back into the woods for a bit. That's the thing. A large portion of this course is covered by foliage, trees, etc. So that's what makes it bearable. But it's still very difficult. Plenty of elevation, and it's just hot. It's central Arkansas in mid-August, so it's very rough. It was 103 on the thermostat when I was driving back here yesterday, back home, and it very much felt like it. It was quite warm. It was still it was equally as tough as last year. It's the toughest race I've ever done. What's your perspective on how I looked yesterday, Michelle?
You looked tired, like just exhausted. And then you didn't feel good. So that made you look even worse because you just didn't feel good.
Did not.
Yeah, you didn't look good.
Thank you.
You're
But
welcome.
but anyway, yeah, I started to feel decent eventually. I mean, I was still pretty rough, but I started to feel okay at a certain point to where I could at least eat. Now, they have burgers and stuff at this event afterward for the finishers. The smell of fresh grilled burgers is normally a very pleasant smell, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday it was making me sick. I just couldn't stand the idea of putting food in me at that point. So it was actually a deterrent, but there was a couple pieces of watermelon I could eat because that's the thing. I was so nauseous. I knew I needed something in me, but I certainly couldn't eat anything. So I had a couple pieces of watermelon, and then just I sipped as much water, Gatorade, and they did have this electrolyte drink at the end of the loop where you go, they mark your bib. Last year they did a hole punch, which I think they should do. It just seems easier to just do a hole punch. They were having to actually take like a regular pen and then just tally a loop down for me, which whatever, I'm okay. Well, whatever you want to do. In fact, if anything, that's representative of the trail community. It's just way more laid back and informal, which I'm fine with. Uh, but they had this electrolyte drink called now I'm now I'm forgetting, Scratch, maybe?
Scratch, yeah.
Scratch,
I want to
yes.
try Scratch.
Well, I tried it yesterday because they said they had Tailwind, which from what I tasted of it, it was okay. I couldn't really tell a difference between that and water pretty much. And then they had water, and then the guy said, we got Scratch. And I said, what's Scratch? Never heard of it. And he says it's an electrolyte drink. So I tried it and it was pretty tasty. It was I think it was a like a pineapple blend, pineapple coconut blend maybe. And it was very good. Like it tasted good. So I had like 3 cups of that each loop. And so how this works is you start the race, you go up this hill, and then you get into the course. So you start off going uphill and then you make your way onto the course, and it's all part of the race. And you do one loop, and then they mark you down as a loop completed, and then they ask you if you want to continue, and you say yes or no, and you can do that up to 4 times. They had even said yesterday, you going for 2 or you going for 3? And I said, I'm going for 4. And they were like, oh, okay. I mean, it was hot. The majority of people that do this race do not do 4 loops. But I had it in me last year, I'm doing 4, and I had it in me this year, I'm doing 4. And Michelle keeps checking, you're checking the results from last year.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how many people finished.
Well, she's looking at the everything on the run sign up right now. Last year, my brother and I were the last people to come in at 4 with 4 loops, but how many people did 4 loops? I think it was like 13 or something, if even that.
I'm
She's counting.
having trouble counting. Keep talking.
2, 4,
You
6.
You keep talking.
Okay, well, I almost had it done anyway. But yeah, the scratch was good. I don't know. I guess I don't know. Ignorance was kind of bliss last year as far as how difficult the race would be. I did not go into it thinking it was going to be that tough. I didn't. I saw 20. I was like, I can do 20 miles. I've done 19 marathons. I was like, I can do that. And I walked out of it saying that was the toughest race I had ever done. This year, I knew exactly what I was getting myself into, so I was just more aware of that or cautious or conscious of that. So during the course, certainly early on, even I would just walk up the hill. Like I would walk up the hill because I was like, I need to conserve energy. I guess it helped because Hell's Hill is how you finish this. So when you finish no matter what distance you choose, if you do 1 loop, if you do 4 loops, you still have to end by going back up this hill. And they call it Hell's Hill. And it lives up to the name. I don't know how long it is, but it feels like a quarter mile of just straight up. And it's brutal. You're tired. It's rocky terrain. It's windy. And how I've handled it both years, I will go up a ways and then I'll try to find like the only level spot you could find in this portion of or on this hill is when you see a tree, like a decent enough sized tree with a little bit of flatness behind it, right? Because it's a tree growing on a hill. So I would do that. I would go up to one of those and then I would stand and just lean against the tree and catch my breath till I was recovered enough to where I could go to another one. And especially how I did it toward the end of the top two of the hill, I would say, all right, let's at least get to that tree. And I get close enough to that and I'd be like, okay, I think I can make it to that one. And I would do that just on repeat till I finally got to the top. And they did have a water station at the top, which was pretty cool. Literally. But it was, yeah, well, once I got there, I knew the worst was over. I wasn't feeling good, but I said, okay, the worst part is over. I can finish strong. And I was conscious of what I did last year. And I had in my head, at least toward the end, I was like, let's try to beat last year's time. Let's try to beat last year's time. And I did by 3 minutes, but it was well done. They did, so normally the cutoff time to start loop 4 is at noon. They bumped that down to 11:15 this year because of the heat advisory. I mean, it's a hot race, but it was apparently even hotter to the point that they said, we're going to make the cutoff 11:15. I did beat the cutoff by an hour, so I knew I was going to be okay. And I could relax a little bit on that 4th loop. I walked most of the 4th loop. I mean, it was a steady trek, through the hills, etc. Like I didn't take any breaks or anything like that. But yeah, I walked the majority of the 4th hill, and I did that last year too. But it was, yeah, it Hell's Hill still lives up to its name. Scorchin Squirrel definitely lives up to its name. Fantastic race. The last 2 years I've done it, I said really during and even after, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that again. And now I'm already thinking about possibly doing it next year. So there's that too. But when before the race, when I went to go get my bib, they gave me this squirrel with Scorchin tattooed on its chest. And then at the end, I crossed the finish line, and then they gave me this squirrel, same squirrel. So they gave me 2 of them. So Michelle has named them Steve and Cheryl.
With an S.
Cheryl with an S. First, Scorchin Squirrel thing. But anyway, I did it 2 years, so I figured why not keep both of them. So Steve and Cheryl hanging out with us for the podcast today. Going back to yesterday, so I could not eat after, right?
Right.
came back here, and then I started to settle. I still had not showered yet. At this point, I'd kind of showered at the event after, just standing under that shower 4 times. So I wasn't like, I mean, I still needed like to be sanitized, right? Like soap and whatnot. But I wasn't gross enough to where I couldn't go eat lunch because it was 3 o'clock at this point. I hadn't eaten anything all day other than watermelon. I did have a few orange slices after the third loop because I was like, I need something. Um, but so I was pretty hungry at this point. So we went to La Hacienda in Benton. Weirdly, they opened a really good barbecue place here by our house. It was open, like they just opened it. It's a popular barbecue spot here in this part or here in this part of our world. And I'm always up for barbecue, but for whatever reason, it just did not sound like it would agree with me yesterday. So instead, I elected for Mexican food. But it's a really good Mexican restaurant.
It is really good Mexican food.
It sounds out of pocket when I say that, but it's really good Mexican food. And I was in the mood for their nachos. So we went and she got the nachos, I got the nachos. We got the exact same thing. And it was excellent. I cleaned mine off easily, and then some of yours, which you would allow me to eat. But I needed to cut myself off at some point anyway. And then I came back. I hadn't had coffee today or yesterday. I'm normally a 2-cup coffee person a day. So I was like, I want a cup of coffee. So I thought, Michelle made the coffee. I got 2/3 of the way through the coffee and then got sick. Like, kept everything down, but I had to go lie down. And I really wasn't okay, really, for the rest of the evening. I had to force feed some rice. Yeah, some fried rice and bulgogi down my esophagus just to have something in me to try to soak up the coffee because I could feel it like in my chest. It was terrible. I was like, I need something in there to counter what I'm feeling right now. So I force fed myself dinner. It was good. It just my body was just out of whack. But I did get a really good night's sleep. I think we were in bed by like 9:30. And I woke up about 8 o'clock this morning and felt normal again. I had my 2 cups of coffee today, feel just fine, rocking an electrolyte drink. I did have a couple Gatorades too. I'm still in hydration mode. I originally had in mind that I was going to mow today, do this podcast, like do yard work, do this podcast, and take care of some business in the town I used to live in. But so far, I'm only doing one of those things. It has been very hot, so the yard can actually wait. It doesn't really need it. So I said, well, I'll just wait till next weekend when I don't have anything going on anyway. I might do the other thing. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet. It's getting to be a little late in the afternoon, so I don't know how 50-50 on whether or not that's going to happen. But all in all, it was a good, productive weekend. And yeah. What are your thoughts, Michelle?
I mean, overall, it was a good weekend. You did look a little tired yesterday, but
A little.
a little. And I was very confused when you said you wanted Mexican after you said you didn't feel good. But
it's my favorite Mexican restaurant.
yeah. But it is what it is.
Now that's the hardest race I've ever done. Scorchin Squirrel 20 mile. Both years. Like tied. No one was not better than the other. My very first my very first marathon was the worst I'd ever felt after a run. And that's for numerous reasons. I didn't know how to handle it as far as hydrating during and all that. I had never done that before, and I didn't have anybody to ask about. This was a little over 15 years ago, and I didn't know people that ran marathons, so I just had to go figure it out. And I learned many things. I learned just about everything when it comes to running the hard way. And that's the worst I'd ever felt after a run. And to the point, like I wanted, it's kind of funny because I wanted a Mexican pizza from this Mexican restaurant where I lived at the time. Like not a Taco Bell Mexican pizza. That would be really out of pocket. This was like a gourmet Mexican pizza that was really good. And I always really liked it. I was like, oh, that would be amazing because I was hungry. And then I bit into it and it was like eating sand. It had the texture of sand trying to swallow. Like it hurt to try to actually swallow it. So for 3 days, all I could eat was soup and bananas. It might have been two, but at 2 or 3 days, all I could stomach was soup and bananas. That's how sick I was. And like I needed just Gatorade, water, soup, bananas. That was all I could handle. That wasn't the case yesterday. I threw down those nachos. Nope. Once my stomach settled, I threw down the nachos, no problem. I was really fine until the coffee.
Yeah.
The coffee was what screwed me up.
It's probably too acidic.
I guess it could because yeah, it felt like I needed to like it felt like not heartburn, but like I almost gas in me, like I needed to belch. I was trying to belch and I couldn't. I started to feel better once I got the put force fed myself the fried rice and bulgogi, but it was yeah, it was a rough evening. I'll put it that way. It was a rough evening. We had kind of plans to hang out here and do a couple things. I was like, no, I gotta go lie down. It was rough. But all in all, good experience, good training. Um yeah, I don't really have anything to add other than that. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. Nope.
I do appreciate that I got to park under covered parking basically. I got to park in a little tunnel. I got there just at the perfect time to where they were just guiding people to park to spots to park. And I happened to get there just in time to get perfectly under a tunnel. And so I was thinking at the time, like, that's going to be really nice when I come back, covered parking. And my car was not hot at all walking or opening the door and getting in there. So I'm very appreciative of that, of my timing, I guess. But yeah, another year, Scorchin Squirrel. It was it was very tough, but a good experience. It was as good of an experience as you can have at that race. But that's part of the rewarding part of it is just how tough it is and completing it. And I did have a split second thought on the third loop because I really wasn't in good shape then either. I was really bad at the end of four because I kept thinking, see, last year I was like, oh, we did 4 loops. All I gotta do, I just gotta go to the finish now. What I didn't know, and that goes back to the ignorance is bliss thing, was that Hell's Hill awaited me. I knew that this year. And so I was just sitting there and that made things worse because I was just sitting there thinking, I still got to do that. I've still got to do that. But I did it. And really, I don't think it was as bad. It was bad, but it wasn't as bad as last year. I think I was mentally prepared for it. Like I knew it was coming. So I purposely scaled back some. Uh, Coming into the fourth loop or on the fourth loop and then finishing up because I knew I still had that waiting on me. And that's probably why I was a few minutes faster and why also it didn't seem like it was as bad as it was a year ago. Because last year I just kept waiting for it to end, kept waiting for it to end, and it just seemed like it never did. It did eventually, but it just took forever. This year I kind of had that expectation, but it did eventually end. So it when I got to the top, I did think that. I was like, that didn't feel as bad as it did last year. It was still rough, but not quite what it was last year. Yeah, today has just been recovery though. but yeah, A+, I guess experience for the Scorchin Squirrel. A+ as far as the race itself, the way it was organized, the volunteers, everybody chipping in, great experience. Everybody did a great job, but very tough, very tough course. And I get, I I respect the hell out of anybody that does 4 loops on that thing. And does it in the allotted time. It's rough, but it's doable if you're prepared for it. And yeah, but that's all I have to talk about that. The other race I had was the week prior. It was the Hope Watermelon 5K. It was a Grand Prix race in Hope, Arkansas. And that went well, I would say. I was almost 50 seconds faster than I was a year ago. Now, I wouldn't say I was in top tier condition or anything last year because I was in school for a full summer session. So it was 5 weeks of just grinding out schoolwork basically. And so I couldn't train like I normally do during that time. So I was actually pleased with how it went last year, just considering everything that I had been doing leading up to it. But I was able to train more this time around, obviously, with that not going on. And yeah, came in like 50 seconds faster than last year. So I was pleased with that. Got some watermelon after. We got some Cracker Barrel after, and saw some really cool cars in the process. Um, what am I missing, Michelle?
We actually stayed and got a watermelon this year,
Huh.
like an actual watermelon. So the race has watermelon after, like cut up for the runners. Um, but every runner also gets a free Hope watermelon, and he hasn't gotten one any year he's ran. And last year they were like, I guess both years technically they were running late.
So that was the third. This was the third year I've run it. Third year in a row, and overall. But yeah, the first year it was going to be a while, and I just said I don't want to wait around for it. And then last year, yeah,
It was the same thing. They were running late. So we were like, well, we're just going to go. But this year we actually kind of took a little bit more time because we went through the cars, but then we also like got an acai bowl.
like I
Um,
didn't place. I came in fourth in my age group, so I knew I wasn't getting any kind of award or anything. So I was like, well, we can just go do whatever we want. Now I did a 2 mile cool down after with my buddies, and then I saw that we weren't. Then they started doing awards, but I was like, well, I didn't get anything, so I'm not going to stick around for that. So we went to the little watermelon festival thing, and walked through the vendors and looked at cars. And somebody had said that they had homemade root beer a year ago, so I was looking for that. That actually sounded really good.
and everybody else that we would stop also said, yeah, it's here somewhere. I've seen people. No one could tell us where it was. And we walked through every vent, like we could not find it.
Yeah,
But everybody was saying it was there somewhere, but no one knew what vendor had it.
yeah, I don't think they had it this year. Um, but that's okay. It was still all in all a good experience. We did get a watermelon though.
We did get a water.
So by the time we finished up with everything and were ready to go, they were passing out watermelons. We did have to wait in line for a little bit, but not that long.
Not too long.
No. So, but I did have, and it was a big watermelon. It wasn't a rinky dink watermelon, which I'm not complaining, but I did have to carry that thing all the way back to the truck. Again, not complaining, but it was it was a big watermelon.
There was a woman in front of us that has to be from Hope. Like that's the only thing I can think. Is she brought a rolling bag, and so she got her watermelon and shoved it in the bag and then was rolling it away, which I was like, that is so smart. Because the parking is nowhere near where you get these watermelons.
No, it was How long was it? Far was it to the car? At least probably a quarter mile.
I would say probably closer to a half a mile
I don't know if it was that far,
because you have
but
to like weave.
it did feel like I had that watermelon forever. I had kind of dried up at that point from the race and then the cool down, and then all of a sudden I was sweaty again once when we got back to the truck. So yeah, it might have been. I don't know. It was a long way. I'll put it that way. But it was well done, and how I said something goofy always happens at the Hope Watermelon 5K. I can't say anything did, at least to my knowledge, when
I
I
did
go
not
there.
see anything, so I did not run. I was just there supporting. So I was sitting on the bleachers with all the other spectators, and I did not see anything goofy happen. They were talking, there were people that had watched it last year and they were talking about when that kid ran the wrong way.
I'm sure
Um
it was
so they
ridiculous.
they were talking about it. Do you think we're gonna see anything like that? And I was just like laughing in my head because I was like, everybody saw.
That was crazy. Like that was still wild to me. Like what went through that kid's head thinking that was going to be a good
Yeah, I don't know.
idea. And what she's saying, and what I covered it last week, the kid literally like 10, 15 yards into the race decided to turn around and start running against the herd. It was like right in the middle of it. It was wild. Like I don't know what that kid was thinking.
I don't either.
But nothing like. And then the first year I did it, a girl tied, and it's young people that just don't know runner etiquette, or they're just ignorant to life. But yeah, the first year I did it, this girl stopped and dropped down and tied her shoe right in the middle of the herd, 20 yards into the race. It was wild. Um, but nothing like that happened this year to my knowledge. Also, the first year I did it, there was somebody that puked right at the finish line.
Was it Ryan Miller?
I don't think so.
He's known for that.
Yeah, but he at least pukes away from
Yeah,
right there in front of the
that's true.
finish.
That's true.
He's at least
He's
courteous,
considerate.
yeah, considerate about it.
Yeah.
No, this person full on threw up right at the finish line because I was really tired, but I chuckled as I was crossing the finish line. I was like, "Ha ha!" Somebody got sick.
Probably one of those cross country kids.
I think they said it was. I think it was one of the cross country kids that just left it all out there, and then literally left it right there. But it was didn't see anything like that this year. I ran a good race. I think that's the best time I've had. Yeah, that was the best time I've had since or at that race. But it was a good day, good experience.
It was also a little cooler this year. There was cloud cover because it was
It was in the
maybe gonna
80s.
rain.
Yeah, it was. We had some scattered showers that were possible. Nothing ever happened to my knowledge. Did it rain on us a little on the way back?
On the way there and on the way back, it did rain a little
Okay,
bit.
yeah. So it was a little cooler because of that, but nothing during. But yeah, it felt good. It was, yeah, it was a good experience. Um, I was going to talk about, I guess it was Thursday, my run Thursday, before we get out of here. So I went for my usual training run. Now I finished up moving into this place this time a week ago, right?
We live together now.
Yes, we live together now. So I finished moving here last it was a week, wasn't it Sunday?
Yeah, a week ago today you moved in.
Yeah, it was Sunday. I mean, we spent the whole day moving.
Yeah.
So I had other things I had to do Monday. I think I had to go back to my old place and just, yeah, I had to go get the rest of my stuff. But it was a very little amount of
It
things.
was.
So it was just one truck truckload basically. So I didn't get my running in until the end of the week. So I started Wednesday, I ran Thursday, I ran Wednesday, Thursday, and then yesterday. So I got my 3 in, so I was good with that. I'm over 30 miles for the week, so I'll take that. That's a lot to some. That's not a lot to others. For me, that's just about right. But I, so I took longer than usual because I got just under 2 mile. Well, I got a little over a mile into my run, then realized, oh, I got to go to the bathroom. It wasn't like an emergency, but I knew I didn't want to keep that in me for a full 5 miles. So I started to run back here to the house. And then where I was running, which there's like a community pool and there's a bathroom next to it. So I was like, let me just go check out this bathroom. And it was single use and it was clean. So I used it and I paused my watch, used the bathroom, and and as I was washing my hands, my watch saved. It just automatically does it after a certain point. I was trying to beat it. I was trying to keep that from happening. And I'm so OCD that I didn't want to. Now, sometimes I'll say screw it and I'll just go run, 3.25 more miles or whatever, because I try to get at least 5 miles in. But it was just irking me that day. And I really wanted it to say 5. And so I just restarted. I restarted my run. And then when I finished up here at the house and I noticed you were gone, I just figured, okay, she had some errands to run or something. So I go open the garage and I'm in there just kind of recovering. And then I hear the truck pull up, which did you see me on the ring camera or something?
I got a
How did you know?
notification that there was a person in the driveway, and I was talking to my friend, and I said, "This person in the driveway better be Graham." I was like, and so I'm gonna wait for the notification that says the garage doors open, and then I got the notification that says the garage doors open.
Okay. So you knew that then that was
So I knew it was you when the garage opened.
Yeah, so I hear the truck pull up. The garage was closed, right? At this point. Yeah, oh yeah, because basically my routine is I'll come into the garage and then I'll just undress in there and then walk into the laundry room, put my clothes in the laundry room, and then either get in the shower or just do whatever from there. Uh, Michelle comes in the back way through the laundry room and then just opens the door and says, "I was looking for you." Do you want to explain what now? I took longer than normal, but I've already stated why.
Yes.
I ran almost 2 miles and then went to the bathroom and then restarted.
So I am like getting dinner ready, like to get started, and I noticed that he's still not back. And at this point, it's been like an hour and 20 minutes or so. And but it's hot. It is still 100 degrees out.
And you knew I wanted to be back at a certain time to watch the Field of
Yeah.
Dreams game. The Phillies were playing on the field in the Field of Dreams game at 6:30. I wanted to be back in time for that.
Yeah. So like it was weird. And he doesn't run with his phone. So it's like I have no idea where he is. And it's like it's hot. I was like, he could be on the side of the road somewhere. I knew he had told me that he wanted to run through the park where so there's like wooded areas, and I'm just like, I can't drive through there. I was like, he could be just passed out in the wooded area, but nobody else is stupid enough to be out in this heat, so no one's gonna find him.
Which that's not true. There were plenty of people out.
So I drive just the like way that I can drive through the park and back, like looking along the trail, trying to see if I can see him. Or is he like walking back or something? But I did not find him. And so when I got the notification he was home while I was still at the park.
Oh, really?
So I was like, okay. So I then came home and got onto him because it took him longer and I got worried.
But I explained why.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about it beyond that though. How long were you out looking for me?
Oh, not long.
Like how long were you gone? Guesstimate.
Less than 10 minutes.
Oh, well, that's not bad then.
Yeah. Like I left and I went straight to the park because that's where you said you were going.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I thought I would have passed you then for you to get back, but I guess you came from this other direction.
I guess.
So
Wait, what other direction? What are you talking about?
did you come from that way? Or did you come from the
Oh, I
park?
came from the
I
park.
don't know how I missed you then. I should have seen
Well,
you.
I was ahead of you.
But when I left, I still should have seen you coming back.
Oh, I know what it was. I know why you didn't. Well, I think I don't. So I finished up what I wanted to do at the park, and then I ran toward the other direction. I took a right at that stop sign coming out of the
Oh
coming from the
yeah.
park,
Okay.
and then I went down that trail,
Yeah.
that bike path,
Yeah, I didn't go
close
that
to
way.
the main road.
Yeah.
And then I finished up coming back up the hill. So that explains that. But that's I'd say that's about all I have to add, except so I have my just list of running goals in my head that I want to do, right? And I've always thought like I know I could do a 50K. I've never done a 50K, but I know I could. But I've always had it in my head I want to do an ultra, but 100 miles just seems too much. Like I don't want to do that. I just don't. I'm not saying I couldn't. I'm not saying I could. I'm just saying I don't want to. But they do have there are 50-mile races that I'm very much interested in. And it's just something I can't get out of my brain. I did have it after Scorchin Squirrel yesterday. I had the thought of I don't think I can do 50 miles, or I just don't want to, because yesterday was so tough. But it's a tough race. It's what it is. It's the time of year, it's the terrain, it's the distance, and obviously the temps play a big part in that. But I've just got it in my head that I've want to do 50 miles. And I woke up this morning with that exact same feeling. I said, yep, that didn't go away. It's still here. If anything, it's stronger than it's ever been. So I'm going to look into a 50-mile race at some point. I believe I've got some things going on in the second half of next year that's going to put me out of racing for at least a year. So I don't know what's going to happen with the podcast then. We'll see what happens, but I want to do I want to do a 50-mile run before that. I need something to scratch this itch that I have going on. Like I've got to scratch it. It's just a scab that I cannot pick, or that I cannot not pick. I have to pick the scab. And apparently that scab is a 50-mile race. The most likely destination is going to be the Frisco Railroad Run, which I did the marathon portion of it in April. And I enjoyed it, but they have a 50-mile run. They have a 50-mile run, a 50K, marathon, half marathon, and an 8-mile race. And that's probably going to be the most likely scenario, mainly because they have a buckle. Not all these 50-mile races have buckles. A lot of them just save that for the 100 miles. And I just don't want to do 100 miles. But if I'm going to run 50 miles, I want a freaking buckle. That's just my personal preference. Now, I've got some friends that are doing 100K in October in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, I believe. And because one of them tried to talk me into it, and I did think about it, but I thought I'm going to be in school then. I'm taking 2 classes this semester, starting tomorrow, by the way. And then I said, and I asked them, like, what do I get out of it, basically? And they just give you a medal, like just a kind of a regular medal that says 100K finisher on it. And I was like, if I'm running that far, I want to buckle. That's just me personally. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But if I'm running 50 miles or more, I want to buckle out of it. So I'm probably going to go to the Frisco Railroad Run to get that. But there are a couple more I've looked at that are just like I gotta have those at some point. There's one that I considered doing this year. Well, this year actually, but I won't just because of conflicting dates. It's the Tunnel Hill Ultra, which they have a 50 and 100-mile option, and also that's in Vienna, Illinois, and you run through a big tunnel. That's part of the ordeal there. But it's they have a really nice buckle for both the 50 and 100-mile races, and the cutoff time is very generous. It's the same cutoff as the 100-miler for the 50-milers. So I would have 30 hours to finish a 50-mile run, which I was like, I can do that. Frisco it's a 12-hour cutoff, I believe. So I wanted to say it was like 14 this past year, but I think
I don't remember.
I don't know. But it's listed as a 12-hour cutoff. So I think I can do it. Just need to make sure I'm trained for it. But I'll have a semester off next year that I can really lock in around the end of December, midway into December. I can really lock in on training then. But there's that, and then the most beautiful buckle I think I've ever seen. Now, the Western States endurance runs, that's kind of like the Boston Marathon medal of ultra running. Do you know anything about that? Look it up real quick. Western States endurance run. Uh, every one of their buckles are handmade, so none of they don't. One doesn't necessarily isn't going to necessarily look like the other because they're all handmade. But that's kind of that's the Boston Marathon version of ultra running, or equivalent to 100-milers anyway. I'll put it that way. I would Google the buckle. It's a beautiful buckle. They give you a silver one, I believe, if you come in. Yeah, it's a silver one if you come in under 24 hours. And then they give you a bronze one if you come in under 30 hours. So that's how they do that. And that's one that you actually have to qualify for. You have to both qualify for it, and then I believe they do a lottery system. But I've always been fascinated by the buckles in running, which check out rhinoraces.com if you're interested in a hybrid type of ultra that just really anybody that really wants to can do. So I would look into that if you're interested in collecting buckles, but and one that you want to earn. But that was where I first saw, I think was first introduced to like the buckle concept of running, which I think is very neat. But that's the prize in ultra running, is not necessarily a medal, but a buckle. But I don't have any desire to run 100 miles at this point in time, probably ever. So I'm going to scratch that itch with 50 miles, most likely in April and late April in Willard, Missouri at the Frisco Railroad Run. They have not opened up registration yet, but I didn't get to the most beautiful buckle, did I? Google Flower Moon 50-mile buckle or race, whatever it is. It is a ultra race in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, I believe. You'll want to fact check me on that. Or no,
Tuska.
Pawhuska, Oklahoma. Is Bartlesville even is that even a city in Oklahoma? I don't know. If I screw that up, my bad. But the Outlaw, it's a race that the Outlaw 100 puts on, which is a big time race. That might be the one in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. I don't know. I would look at this one here. That's the ones that they had a year ago. But but yeah, Flower Moon 50-mile buckle. Look that up. It's the most, and it's big too. Like it's a big buckle. It's one of the prettiest. It's got to be the prettiest ultra buckle I've seen. What say you?
It is really pretty.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I just looked at it and I said, I have to have that. I will not be able to do it next year. It's May 15th for those interested. They have not opened registration yet, I don't believe. But at some point in my life, probably in a few years, I'm going to have to go get that thing because it is just gorgeous and I want one. Yeah, I've got conflicting stuff going on that day, so can't do it. They had that up last time too, so I'm guessing the registration is not open yet. But May 15th for those interested, if you're in the Southeast region, Yeah, it's Pawhuska, Oklahoma, and May 15th. And yeah, it's a race put on by the Outlaw 100, and it's the prettiest buckle I've ever seen, and it's a 50 miler. So I was looking up buckles, and I discovered that a guy was his he's got a YouTube channel, Facebook page called, I think it's Run Trails Eat Bacon.
Okay.
I think that's his handle, but he's got some good stuff on his Facebook and YouTube page. And he was doing his top 5 favorite buckles. And of course, I think the first 4 were 2 through 5 were all 100 milers. And his favorite buckle, his number 1 buckle was that one, the 50 miler in for the Flower Moon 50-mile race in Oklahoma. So Michelle's writing something. Oh, gotta. I read that as go ha. Can I read this?
No,
Can I please read it?
no.
Okay. Um, Basically, Michelle was saying gotta go, but I read it as go ha because her T's looked like an H. But anyway, there's some info for you, and we're out of time. We'll be back probably in a couple weeks. But until then, we'll see y'all next time. I'm Grandpa. That's Michelle. Deuces, y'all.
See ya.